131873. It's 11 past 4 now. I got an email last night after our discussion with Joe Halen, the Transport Minister, about electric trucks. Now, electric trucks. I got a tip that Canterbury Bankstown Council in 2021 went off and bought an electric garbage truck. So I did a bit of research, and the council's got this program called Charging Ahead. It's all about shifting from diesel and petrol cars and trucks and garbage trucks as part of the council fleet to an electric fleet. And it's true, in 2019, Canterbury Bankstown Council was one of the first to place an order for a high-no truck. It was fitted with an electric drivetrain by an outfit called C Electric, and the garbage truck was the first heavy electric vehicle to join the Canterbury Bankstown Council fleet. So that was in 2019 they bought it. I think it was delivered in 2021. So they were very excited for their electric garbage truck, Canterbury Bankstown Council, giving themselves big pats on the back. The NRMA even did a feature piece on it. But it didn't last very long. Now, my sources tell me the electric garbage truck by C Electric has been so bad that council wants to send it back because it just doesn't work properly. Now, the issues they've found is when the electric garbage truck picks up the rubbish, the compactor on the back, you know, the big compactor that squashes down all the litter in the back of the truck, well, it uses too much battery. So the electric garbage truck couldn't actually get through a single shift picking up rubbish in the Canterbury Bankstown area because the battery would go flat. So they had to take it off the road. It's not in use anymore. Basically, because they could run it for a couple of hours and then it would be out of battery because the compactor would just drain the battery on the truck. Now, Blacktown Council has done the same thing. In 2020, Blacktown Council did a trial. It didn't work. Surprise, surprise. The electric garbage truck at Blacktown Council could only do 100 kilometres a day, so they got rid of it. And they then said, well, what are we going to do about our garbage trucks and our carbon footprint and everything? Maybe we could try hydrogen trucks. But they're out of this world expensive, the hydrogen trucks, and to make it work for a council as big as Blacktown, you'd need your own hydrogen pumping station. Again, silly expensive. So lo and behold, they will be stocking diesel-powered garbage trucks, and they will be on the roads, those diesel-powered garbage trucks, both in Canterbury Bankstown and in Blacktown for some time yet. Now, I asked C Electric, as in like the ocean, C, S-E-A, Electric, who fitted out both councils' garbage trucks, and they were almost offended at the idea that the electric trucks might not actually be all that practical for picking up garbage. Even though they're absolutely not practical, and that's now been proved by both Canterbury Bankstown and Blacktown councils in two trials, and they're two trials that failed. By the way, the NRMA, I said that they wrote up the electric garbage trucks at Canterbury Bankstown, that they were some sort of saviour of the planet. Again, NRMA was wrong. They should just check out whether or not these things work before they get. Electric trucks might not actually be all that practical for picking up garbage. Even though they're absolutely not practical, and that's now been proved by both Canterbury Bankstown and Blacktown councils in two trials, and they're two trials that failed. By the way, the NRMA, I said that they wrote up the electric garbage trucks at Canterbury Bankstown, that they were some sort of saviour of the planet. Again, NRMA was wrong. They should just check out whether or not these things work before they go out of their way to give free publicity to technology that might not be ready just yet. Trent Nikolic from drive.com.au is on the line. Trent, are you surprised? Two trials of electric garbage trucks, two failures?
Absolutely not, mate. No, and I think what you've just described there with the garbage trucks specifically highlight the challenges of any of this heavy vehicle sector that we talk about moving to electric propulsion anytime soon. Yeah, absolutely. We want to encourage people to do the right thing and recycle and treat their garbage the way we need it to be treated. They can be critical of it, but this is real-world stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah, and we're talking about real-world stuff in freight and garbage because I can guarantee you if we want to cut emissions. A really good way of people not being behind that push would be for people's garbage to be piled up here, there and everywhere because the electric garbage trucks have run out of juice.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to encourage people to do the right thing and recycle and treat their garbage the way we need it to be treated, not to let it pile up out the front. Absolutely. But you and I have spoken about this before, Chris. We've spoken about it at Drive a bunch of times at our website, that heavy vehicles, large trucks, heavy transport, heavy haulage, that kind of stuff. And I know you've had truck drivers speaking to you after your interview yesterday. That sector is a massive challenge when we start talking about transitioning to electric, simply because of the size of the vehicles, the weight of the vehicles, and the distances they have to travel.
So the heavier they are, the more, onerous they are on the battery? Is that the idea?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the problem. It doesn't even need to be something as large as a prime mover. It can be right down to a dual cab size, right? Because to get the distance out of the battery pack, you need to put a larger battery pack in it, which is heavier. The heavier it is, the more it takes away from the payload of the vehicle in terms of what the vehicle can carry. And then the heavier the whole thing gets, the less distance it will travel. So it's a real law of diminishing returns. And probably the easiest way to describe it is that the most popular electric car on the road, right, is a Tesla Model 3. That weighs between 1,760 kilograms and 1,844. Now, that's just a small sedan. So up to 1.8 tonnes. A Toyota Corolla sedan weighs between 1,300 kilos and 1,375 kilos. So that's 500 kilograms less than the same vehicle that's electric. Now, that's not to criticise the electric. And that's not to criticise the electric vehicle. Tesla Model 3s are great cars to run around.
Heavy though, yeah?
But a lot heavier, that's right.
And when you're looking at garbage trucks specifically, does it surprise you that you've got these companies that are trying to be innovative, and I understand that they're there and trying to do the right thing, SEA Electric, SEA Electric, and they're surprised when the trials don't work. The trials fail, and the council say, hey, look, we've got, Canterbury Bankstown's got 500,000 residents. We need trucks that can go all bloody day.
Yeah, absolutely. There'd be a lot of people listening to us now who live in Canterbury Bankstown local council area, and they'd like to think that their rubbish is going to be collected regardless of how the truck moves around that gets it. Look, it doesn't surprise me, no. And I think we should encourage trials, as you said. We should encourage councils and governments to have a look at future technology and see what works. But I think there's a real issue in Australia with understanding that we're very different to other parts of the world. I've spent time in small villages in places like Italy, for argument's sake, where there are these tiny little electric garbage trucks that run around and pick up the garbage, but they stay within the walls of an old city that's probably less than a 20-kilometre square radius. It's quite a small area. And also, they're tiny little things operating in small streets where the majority of the garbos jump out, grab the bin, throw it in themselves. They don't have big comps in Australia. They tested an electric truck trial using Janus, I think is the way you pronounce it, Janus. It's a Janus electric converted prime mover. Now, they've tried it. Now, it works in that it works in principle. But you and I can drive around and do a lap of Australia in a Tesla Model 3 tomorrow if we do 80 kilometres an hour, if we don't do more than a couple of 100 kilometres a day, if we leave ourselves a day and a half to charge where we don't have access to a fast charger, if. So, yes, you can technically do anything, but the reality of whether it actually works day to day for the average person in the way that we're used to the technology working for us currently is a very different argument. So I think there's still a hell of a lot more research to be made, because these electric prime movers, for argument's sake, the way they would work is they'd have a huge battery pack that they'd pull into a station, and the station would remove the battery pack and put a new one in, and then go and charge the battery pack for the next
swap and go or whatever they were saying.
Yeah, but there's a massive amount of infrastructure required to do that. Like even just the heavy machinery required to lift up the battery packs to take them in and out. The amount of electricity that needs to go into it.
Because it's not like you can just pick it up and put it in your car, right? It's not like a car battery.
No. If you look at a Tesla Model 3 that we're talking about, it's basically the whole area between the wheels, front and rear, and it's probably 300 millimetres tall. So,
and then look at a B double.
Exactly. And the bigger the vehicle gets, the bigger the battery pack needs to be.
Trent, I'll let you go. Thanks so much.
Thank you, mate.
Trent Nikolic from drive.com.au. There you go. 2 ratepayer-funded trials. Canterbury Bankstown Council, electric garbage trucks. Blacktown Council, electric garbage trucks. 2 trials, 2 failures. They just don't work. 4:22.